How is everybody doing? So, we are on day 19, unbelievably, and we are towards the end of Dr. Gutman's 7 principles of marriage. And this one is let your spouse influence you. Get influenced by your spouse. Studies show that 80% of marriages that fail because one partner or the other, one spouse or the other, refuses to listen to the other or both. So if there's a situation where one spouse is saying something, the other spouse doesn't want to get influenced by them, doesn't want to change their perspective on something, there's an 80% chance that that marriage will fail. The other 20% will probably stay, but they're certainly not happy because the way marriage works is, as the Torah said, a person should leave his mother and father. Connect to your wife. Connect to your wife means become one. Become one. Become one. One mind, one thought, one position. Now, obviously, you're two different people. It's almost impossible to do that. But a person has to try as much as he could to yield sometimes to the thoughts of his wife. In fact, studies show that ladies, when they do something, they automatically think what their husband would say, what their husband would think, and they act accordingly. Sometimes they act against it, sometimes they act for it, but they at least keep their husband's position in mind. But studies also show that husbands very rarely keep their wife's position in mind when they do something. Now, sometimes could happen as a nature or nurture thing, if it's the nature of a man like that, or he was just nurtured like that. We grow up almost in a position as boys when we play ball, when we go into the business world. Everything's in wins and losses. Everything is determined like that. In business, you have the winners, you have the losers. It's so not true, but that's the way we think. So therefore, when anytime we're in a conflict with our wife, automatically our position becomes I have to win. We don't see anything else. I have to win, she's going to lose. And then when she starts to say something to us, we don't listen because she's now in this conversation, the enemy, so to speak. I have to beat her. I have to win. There's no way I could lose. When people tend to listen to their wives, there is always a way to make a win-win situation. Let me give you an example. Okay, it's coming up camp, and your wife wants your son to go to a camp that's $4,000. I said, honey, I don't have $4,000 to spend on camp. There's nothing I could do. But your wife says, listen, I understand that, but the bottom line is that all his friends are going there. I don't want him miserable during the summer. But isn't there a cheaper camp? There's a cheaper camp that the guy will charge me $2,800 to put the kid in camp. But he's going to be miserable there. None of his friends are there. I understand that, but putting him in a $4,000 camp is just not an option. I don't have that money. So you're automatically right now locked into win. He's not going to the $4,000 camp. Your wife, without you even knowing it, has already thought of the pressure this money is going to cost you. She knows that already. She already put that in her calculation. That's why she's coming over to you and discussing with you. But you're in a position of win lose. Rather than thinking, wait, hold on one second. What's the difference between us? $1,200? So I turn into your wife and say, look, I don't mind putting the kid in the $4,000 camp. Look for the shred of truth in your wife's words. It is true. He's going to be miserable in the other camp. He's going to have a terrible summer. $2,800. You're throwing it down the drain. So listen to your wife and keep your position by maybe a compromise. Listen, honey, what's the difference between us? $1,200? I'll tell you what. We were planning on taking a vacation for winter vacation. We were planning on going to Aruba. Let us instead go to Florida, save a couple of $1,000s, and we'll use that money to put our son in the $4,000 camp. Meaning to say is in any conflict, there's always a way to resolve it win-win, usually win-win if we listen. If we get the strand of truth, if we get that influence from our spouse and let her influence us, let her change us. Don't think win lose. Think we're in this together. What is the best for our family? Another thing about influencing. Rabbi Yaakov Kamenetsky was first married. Well, I think we even said this. He was married to one wife and she passed away young. So he remarried another wife a few years later. And there's a law on Pesach, a certain law that a lot of Ashkenazim have the custom. They don't let their matzah get wet. They don't eat that. So that's called, they call it gebrochs, maybe the ugliest word in the history of the world, gebrochs. But basically it means that your matzah can get wet. So they won't eat matzah balls, they won't dip They won't put cream cheese on their matzah, things like that. They don't want they want us to keep their matzah dry because the thought is that if it gets wet, maybe there's still something in there that could rise. It's far-fetched, but that's a custom that they have. So Rabbi Yaakov Kamenetsky, his whole life, kept this law. He didn't let his matzah get wet. When he married his second wife, she didn't keep that law. So that means it changes Pesach entirely. I mean, think about it. Matzah pizza, matzah ball soups, most of the things we have are gebachs, kibbeh, matzah, you know. So his wife didn't keep that. So she asked him, what do we do? And he said, oh, don't worry, I don't keep that law either. Now he did. So what did he do? He went to 3 of his students and he said, let's make hatarat nedarim. Let's annul my vow, because every custom is a vow. Let's annul my vow and get rid of that. So he, in essence, almost went down a level in his observance to yield and to be influenced by his wife. It's an amazing story. But we have to, when we're in a partnership means, listen, and all of us are in some sort of partnerships in business. We have people that we work with, whether it be a partnership as far as he's a buyer, I'm a salesman, that's kind of a partnership, whether it be a partnership with a co-worker, or whether it be an actual partnership. We own a business together. There's always yielding that goes on. Because you guys see the bottom line, the number, the money. You don't really care at the end of the day who's right and who's wrong. Well, it's the same thing with your wife. You have to think of the bottom line here. The bottom line is the family. What's best for us as a unit? Let your wife influence you. Next time you're in an argument, next time your wife says something, look for the stranger truth in what she's saying. I'll give you another example, which comes up a lot. Holiday time's coming. Your wife says, I want to go to my mother. And you say, we have to go to my father. My parents are going to kill me. So she wants to go to her family. You want to go to your family. And she's saying, I want to go to my mother because my sister's going to be there first half. And I really want to see my sister. And you say, we got to go to my parents because my parents didn't see us last holiday. So now what do? You're stuck. You're at an impasse. But think of something that she said in that. My sister's going to be there. I want to be with her. All right, maybe we'll make a weekend before. We'll invite your parents and your sister and see if they could come, and we'll still go to my parents. Or maybe we'll go to my mother the week before and we'll go to your parents for the holiday. There's a way to work it out when you're thinking win-win rather than win-lose. You come home from work, you're dead tired, you're wiped out. Your wife has been looking at the 4 walls the entire day. She wants to get out. You want to stay in. She wants to get out. And she tells you, you want to go out to eat, and I really got to get out. And you're like, honey, I just got home. I'm wiped. I'm zonked. I just want to eat something. I don't want to sit in front of the TV, or I want to just sit on the couch. And now you're in an impasse. You're thinking win-lose. I'm not losing this. She's not going to beat me now. She always tries to take me out. I need my relaxation. This is not fair. You're in that mode. She already probably thought that he's going to come home hedged, and she's trying nicely to convince you. Look for a way out of that. Maybe something like, you know what? I think I have a good idea. Let's eat here. Let me relax for a half hour on the couch. It'll be 9:30, and then we'll go out and we'll have dessert somewhere. We'll go for a walk somewhere. So she at least gets out her, getting out of the 4 walls, so to speak. So there's always usually a way to resolve the conflict when we think about getting influenced by our partner. Have a great A number of years ago, a family member of mine was taking a psychology course. And they came home, and they taught us this unbelievable, transcendent way of dealing with arguments. They said the way we're going to deal with arguments from now on is, I say, let's just say chocolate. You say vanilla. We're going to switch it around. You argue my side, and I'll argue your side, and you'll see how quickly it could be resolved if you go ahead and you argue my side as vigorously and as vehemently as you would argue your side. So let's go. We spoke about a couple of cases in that voice note before, but let's think of a different case, okay? Your wife on Sunday morning wants to take the kids out. We got to go out. The kids need to get out. And you're saying, I had a rough week. I need to stay in. We'll rent the kids a movie. We'll get them a Netflix thing. We'll order pizza to the house, or I'll play with them in the backyard. But I really want to stay home. I don't want to put on clothes. I don't want to spend money. Just let me stay home. But your wife says the kids have to get out. Now what do? Look at it from this perspective. Start arguing her points. but argue them vehemently and vigorously as you would your own points. The kids have to get out. The kids have to leave. It's really not fair to them to be home. And let her argue your side. Now, this is not our task of the day, by the way, mind you. We didn't get there yet. I'm just showing you how powerful this could be. And let her argue your points. But he's really tired. He's got to rest. It's not fair. He's working like a dog all week. Let him have his one day off. So here's the point and here's the task. The next time there is a conflict between your wife and yourself, automatically repeat your wife's words and say, I understand that you're saying this. So she says, we have to, on Tuesday night, we have to go to PTA, and I want you to come, and you don't want to go to PTA, and you tell your wife, I understand you really want me at PTA because it's important that we show the teachers that we're united in our children's education. Then speak your points. But beforehand, look for whatever it is your wife's saying and repeat that back to her. First of all, this does great in conflict resolution in general, for yourself and for the other person. Show empathy, show you being influenced by the next time you're in a conflict, and that's the task. It's not really a task of the day, it's a task of the next time you're in some sort of conflict, which is repeat the other one's words with the same vehemence, well, not vehemence, same vigor, the same power, that they would say it in. Really think, look for that strand of truth and repeat it back to them. I know what you're saying. I really should not have done this because it caused this, and this. But, and then you go ahead with your point. Have a great day.